Welcome to the LawyerFi Podcast. I'm your host, Adam B. Cordover, a Florida collaborative family law attorney who has done a deep dive over the past few years in personal finances. And today we're delving into a topic that weighs heavily on so many high-income professionals, paying off debt. Whether it's hefty student loans from law school, med school, or graduate school, that credit card you used a little too often, or a car loan that feels like it's sticking around forever, debt can feel like handcuffs, holding you back from true financial freedom. You've worked hard, long hours, tough cases, complex patients, or demanding clients. You've earned a strong income. From the outside, people might assume you're financially thriving, but behind the scenes, a big chunk of your income is going to debt payments, and it feels like you're stuck on a treadmill, running hard, but not moving forward.
This is the LawyerFi Podcast, equipping lawyers and other high-income professionals to reach financial independence. Adam B. Cordover is a Florida-based collaborative family law attorney. He is not a financial advisor, accountant, or tax attorney. This podcast does not provide legal, financial, or tax advice, and is for information and entertainment purposes only.
Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, he who doesn't pays it. Now, I don't really know if that came from Einstein, but here's what I know to be true. Compound interest can either work for you or against you. When you're investing, it's your best friend. But when you're carrying high interest debt, it's your worst enemy, as it tends to eviscerate your investment gains. As Morgan Housel reminds us in The Psychology of Money, wealth is what you don't see. High income does not automatically equal wealth. Wealth is best described as assets minus debts. And this podcast is all about tackling the debt side of that equation. We're going to unpack two popular debt repayment strategies, the Debt Snowball Method and the Debt Avalanche Method. We'll explore how they work, the psychology behind each, and how you can decide which approach fits your life. By the end of this episode, I hope that you'll be equipped and inspired to start building your own debt-free plan. Before we dive into strategies, let's talk about why paying off debt is so critical, especially for high-income professionals. Debt isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's a weight that impacts every financial and life decision you make. It's like carrying a backpack full of bricks while trying to run a marathon. Every step feels harder, every decision feels heavier, and no matter how fast you move, you're always aware of the extra weight dragging behind you. Think about all the opportunities you've worked so hard to create. You've built a career, increased your earning power, and maybe even started investing. From the outside, it looks like you've made it. But if you're still carrying tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, those bricks in your backpack can keep you from moving forward. And here's the thing. Debt doesn't just influence how you use your paycheck. It shapes your choices about life itself. It might delay when you're married, or how you start a family, or whether you take the leap to open your own law firm or private practice. It can keep you tethered to a job you don't love because the thought of a temporary income dip feels too risky with so much debt hanging over you. And let's not forget the math. If you're carrying credit card debt at 20% while investing in a portfolio earning 8%, you're fighting a losing battle. The emotional toll is just as real. Debt creates a constant low-level stress, a background noise in your mind. Instead of dreaming about the life you want, you're busy paying for the life you've already lived. The American Bar Association reports that law school graduates carry around $150,000 or more in total student loan debt. Physicians often graduate with $200,000 to $300,000 in loans or more. Add in credit cards, car loans, and maybe even a mortgage, and even high earners can feel trapped. This is why paying off debt isn't just about numbers. It's about freedom. Freedom to make bold choices. Freedom to take calculated risks. Freedom to build a life that's defined by opportunity, not obligation. And the good news? Once you have a plan, you can start setting that freedom in motion. In the next section, we'll explore the first strategy for breaking free and how it can help you regain momentum in your financial and personal life. The Debt Snowball Method, popularized by radio and podcast personality Dave Ramsey, focuses on behavior over math. You start by listing your debts from smallest to largest balance instead of ordering them by interest rate, and pay the minimums on all but the smallest debt, where you throw every extra dollar that you have. Once the smallest debt is gone, you roll its payment into the next smallest debt. Ramsey advises his listeners to pay off their debts with gazelle intensity, which I think is pretty darn good advice. In other words, he encourages people to attack debt with the urgency of a gazelle escaping a cheetah. It's dramatic, but for many people it works. Let's look at a hypothetical using the Debt Snowball Method. Let's assume for a moment that you have the following debts: a $10,000 car loan at 10% interest, a $20,000 credit card debt at 20% interest, and $100,000 in student loans at 5% interest. With the snowball, you'd focus every extra dollar on the $10,000 car loan first. Even though the credit card debt has a much higher interest rate, you're prioritizing balance size. Why? Well, because early victories matter. Crossing off a balance gives you momentum. Behavioral science supports this idea. Research shows that we're more likely to stick with plans when we're seeing visible progress early on. Think of it like dieting. If you lose a few pounds quickly, you're more motivated to keep going. Debt works the same way. For high earners, these early wins can be especially powerful. Imagine paying off one or two smaller balances in the first few months. Suddenly there's more room in your budget and more confidence to make bolder personal or financial moves. Now the truth is that the snowball method isn't the most efficient mathematically. You likely will pay more in interest over time because you're not targeting the highest cost debt first. But for many, it's most effective psychologically. It's less about optimizing every dollar and more about staying in the fight long enough to see it through. This method has helped countless professionals, lawyers, doctors, business owners, stay the course and pay off massive debts. And if you're someone who thrives on visible progress and the satisfaction of checking items off a list, the snowball might be exactly what you need to get started. But what if you're less motivated by momentum and more driven by efficiency? What if you want to know every dollar is saving you the most money possible, even if progress feels slower? That's where the debt avalanche comes in, and we'll explore how that method would approach the same debts in the next section. The debt avalanche takes a different approach than the snowball method. Instead of ordering your debts by balance size, you list them from highest to lowest interest rate. You pay the minimums on all your debts, but you throw every extra dollar at the one with the highest interest rate first. This method is favored by J.L. Collins, author of The Simple Path to Wealth. As he famously put it, mathematics doesn't care about your feelings. It works whether you like it or not. For numbers-driven people, the appeal is obvious. This strategy saves you the most money over time and, in many cases, gets you out of debt faster. Let's revisit our earlier hypothetical. With a $10,000 car loan at 10% interest, $20,000 credit card debt at 20%, and $100,000 in student loans at 5% interest. With the Debt Avalanche Method, you focus on the $20,000 credit card debt first because it has the highest interest rate, even though it isn't the smallest balance. In the meantime, you would be making minimum payments on the other debts. Once the credit card debt is fully paid off, you direct your extra payments to the $10,000 car loan and finally to the $100,000 student loan. By tackling the highest interest rate debt first, you reduce the amount of interest you're paying month after month. Over time, this can mean thousands of dollars saved, money you can redirect into building wealth rather than paying lenders. Now, at first glance, the Debt Avalanche Method seems like it's all about logic and efficiency. But there can be an emotional boost here too, if you frame your progress the right way. In their book, The Gap in the Gain, business coach Dan Sullivan and psychologist Ben Hardy advise measuring success not by what's still ahead of you, but by looking back at what you've already accomplished. Applied here, that means instead of fixating on how long it will take to eliminate your largest debts, you can focus on how much interest you've already stopped paying and how your balances are shrinking. For some people, Watching their balance on a high-interest debt drop dramatically can give them just as much of an emotional rush as crossing off small debts in the snowball method. This is why the Avalanche Method appeals to optimization-focused individuals. For them, knowing the math is working in their favor provides its own kind of reward. And if they measure success by how far they've come, the emotional satisfaction grows along with the financial savings. If you're the kind of person who enjoys spreadsheets, likes seeing interest savings stack up, and can motivate yourself by focusing on the gains compared to the past instead of the gaps until you meet your future goals, the Avalanche could be your ideal approach. In the next section, we'll compare these two strategies and explore how to choose the one that fits your personality and goals. By now, you know how the Debt Snowball and Debt Avalanche methods work. The snowball builds momentum by tackling small debts first. The avalanche saves you more in the long run by focusing on your high-interest debts first. But beyond the basics, there are deeper insights that might help you decide which method fits your situation best. Let's explore several little discussed ideas, starting with the Debt Snowball Method and then delving into the Debt Avalanche Method. One big advantage of the Debt Snowball is, as you eliminate smaller debts, you free up cash flow earlier in your journey. Imagine having 5 different debt payments every month. You pay one off quickly and suddenly there are only 4. That breathing room of additional cash available can be a game changer, especially if you're juggling life changes like starting a family, considering a career shift, or launching your own practice. Another benefit of the snowball is how quickly it reduces the number of accounts you're managing. Each debt you pay off means one less due date to remember, one less monthly statement to stress over, and one less creditor in your mental space. For many people, that simplification lowers stress and makes it easier to focus on their overall financial plans. It's like decluttering your house. You didn't add square footage, but somehow it feels bigger and more peaceful. And here's an interesting nuance. The snowball method may give your credit score a slight lift in the short term. By paying off smaller balances first, you can reduce the number of accounts with outstanding balances more quickly. This might improve your credit utilization ratio and show you're actively managing your debt. But let's qualify this. The improvement is likely just on the margins. The most important factor for your credit score is reducing your overall debt load. Both methods will help with that in the long run, but if you're hoping for a quick bump in your score, the snowball could provide a small edge. So those were some advantages you might see with the Debt Snowball Method. On the other hand, one of the Debt Avalanche's hidden strengths is its ability to protect you from runaway balances, especially if we enter into a rising interest rate environment. If your high interest debt is left unchecked, it can balloon faster than you realize. Credit card balances at 18 or 28% interest rates can grow so quickly they start to feel like financial quicksand. The Avalanche tackles this head on, targeting the most dangerous debt first. Think of it like firefighting. You don't start with the little campfire in the corner. You go straight for the biggest blaze before it spreads. Additionally, for high earners with variable income, lawyers who depend on bonuses or contingency fees, doctors in a private practice, or business owners whose cash flow is feast or famine, the Avalanche can be especially effective. Here's why. When you have a big income month and throw a lot of extra money at your debts, the Avalanche ensures every dollar goes to the highest interest balance. That means your windfalls make the biggest possible impact on reducing future interest. If you're a lawyer who just won a big case and get a bonus, you probably want those funds crushing the debt that's bleeding you the most, not trickling into a smaller, low-interest account. Now, here are the takeaways. These insights show there's no single best approach, just the best fit for you. The snowball gives you breathing room and mental clarity earlier. The avalanche saves you more money in the long run and helps prevent runaway interest. As you consider these factors, ask yourself, which benefits matter most to me right now? Is cash flow flexibility more important, or do I want to wring every last drop of efficiency out of my dollars? Do I have a steady income, or do I need to account for big swings month to month? Whatever you choose, the most important thing is to start. Once you're in motion, you can always adjust your plan as your situation and confidence grows. With those additional insights, you might still be wondering which method, the Debt Snowball or the Debt Avalanche, is the right fit for you. And the truth is, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. The best strategy depends on your personality, your financial goals, and most importantly, what will keep you motivated enough to stick with your plan for the months or years it may take to become debt-free. Let's break this down into two personality types: checklist people and spreadsheet people. If you're a checklist person, you thrive on the satisfaction of crossing items off your list. You know that feeling, whether it's a work task, a grocery list, or even your weekend chores. Each checkmate gives you a sense of accomplishment. For checklist people, the Debt Snowball Method often works beautifully. Paying off smaller balances first give you early wins. Those quick victories create momentum and you feel like you're making progress one debt at a time. If you're a spreadsheet person, on the other hand, you're wired for optimization. You want to make sure every dollar you send towards debt is working as efficiently as possible. You're motivated by knowing you're saving the most money on interest, even if it means waiting longer to knock out your first debt. For you, the Debt Avalanche approach might be the ideal method. It may not be as emotionally rewarding in the beginning, but it can save you time and money over the life of your repayment journey. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I'm a little bit of both. I live by my checklists. I love the feeling of crossing off tasks. In fact, I've been known to put a task on my checklist after I've already completed it, just so I could check it off. But I also rely on spreadsheets to organize my thoughts and make data-driven decisions. In paying off my own debts, I haven't stuck rigidly to one method. I started with the debt that had the highest interest rate, a credit card. That rate was so high that I just simply could not ignore it. Paying that off first made sense both logically and emotionally. Once that was gone, I moved on to my car loan, which had a lower but still relatively high interest rate. Eliminating that gave me a boost in confidence and freed up some cash flow. Then I focused on my variable rate student loans. At first glance, their interest rates as well as their balances were lower than my fixed rate student loans. So if I'd been following a pure avalanche approach, I might have saved them for later. But interest rates were rising at the time, and I could see the variable rate loans potentially catching up to or even exceeding the fixed rate student loans. Tackling them next was both a financial and strategic decision. Plus, it gave me additional relatively quick wins, which kept me motivated to continue. By the time I reached my fixed rate student loans, I had built enough momentum and freed up enough cash that attacking those felt manageable. This hybrid approach, part snowball, part avalanche, helped me stay engaged while also being smart about interest costs. You may consider a similar strategy. Start with the debt that gives you a psychological or financial advantage, then shift gears when it makes sense. There's no wrong method here. The right plan is the one you'll actually stick with. And you're not locked in. You can adjust your strategy as your confidence grows and your situation changes. Think of this like training for a marathon. Some people run with a partner to stay accountable. Others use a timer to optimize their pace, and others adjust their route mid-run to keep things interesting. The important thing is that they keep running. Whichever strategy you choose, remind yourself, the best plan isn't the perfect one. It's the one you'll follow through on. Consistency beats perfection every single time. Once you've decided on your strategy, snowball, avalanche, or mix, the real challenge begins, sticking with it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is coming out of the gate too fast. They throw every last penny at their debt in the first few months and then burn out when life inevitably throws a curveball, and then they get restuck in high-interest credit card debt. Instead, I think it's probably helpful to think like a long-distance runner. Start strong but sustainable. Build momentum by making consistent progress each month, no matter how small. Over time, those efforts compound, just like interest does. This doesn't mean you shouldn't be aggressive. You should throw as much as you reasonably can at your debt. But it also means leaving enough breathing room in your budget so you're not constantly one emergency away from falling back into the cycle of borrowing. Further, you should recognize that willpower can be a limited resource. If you rely on it every month to make the right choice with your money, eventually you'll hit decision fatigue. That's why you need systems. Automate your minimum payments so you never miss a due date. Then set up automatic extra payments to go directly towards your target debt, whether that's your smallest balance or your highest interest rate loan. At the same time, create a small emergency fund alongside your repayment plan. Now, Dave Ramsey suggests creating a $1,000 emergency fund until you pay off your debts, but for most high earners with responsibilities, that simply is not enough to cover an emergency. However, slowly accumulating a few $1,000s can shield you from surprises like car repairs or medical bills, keeping you from slipping back into high-interest debt. And if you are a solo practitioner or own your own firm or business, you should also slowly build up an emergency fund for that too. By the way, we will be discussing emergency funds as well as some of the best places to keep cash in future episodes. And when life happens, and it will, your systems will keep you moving forward, even if your motivation wavers. You may also want to consider a mindset shift. Don't think of yourself as someone, quote, trying to pay off debt. Think of yourself as a person who refuses to tolerate debt. This isn't just a subtle difference in wording, it's about shifting your identity. As James Clear writes in Atomic Habits, every action you take is a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you bring your lunch instead of eating out, or send an unexpected bonus towards your debt instead of upgrading your phone, you're casting a vote for your future debt-free self. Now, paying off debt can feel endless if you don't take time to acknowledge your progress. You should keep a log or spreadsheet if that floats your boat, or track your progress in a net worth tracker like Empower. Additionally, create milestones, paying off your first 1,000, cutting your total debt in half, or eliminating a particularly stressful account. When you hit one, celebrate in a way that aligns with your bigger goal. Maybe it's some time out in nature with loved ones or a pet, or maybe it's just pausing to reflect on how far you've come. These rewards reinforce your new habits and keep your motivation high over the long run. With all due respect to J.L. Collins, paying off debt isn't just about math. It is about behavior. And behavioral changes require consistent effort. Start with a plan, design systems to support it, cast votes for your debt-free identity, and celebrate your progress. If you do those things, you'll build habits that carry you not just to debt freedom, but to the kind of financial independence that lasts. Every month, every payment, every sacrifice is an investment in the life you're creating. And that life is worth every step of this journey. So, congratulations. You've reached the end of this episode, and maybe the beginning of a new chapter in your financial journey. Paying off debt isn't easy, trust me, I know. It takes courage to look at the numbers, to choose a strategy, and to commit month after month. But with every payment, you're not just reducing balances, you're reclaiming control of your money and your life. Just imagine the day your debts are gone. No more payments eating into your income. No more stress every time you check your bank account. Instead, you'll have freedom. The freedom to save, to invest, to give generously, and to live life on your own terms. And the key is to start. Don't wait for the perfect plan or the perfect time. Take one step today. List your debts. Choose a method, any method that feels right, and make your first extra payment. Momentum will carry you from there. You're not alone in this journey. Thousands of high-income professionals have walked this road before you, and their success started with a single choice: to act. So here's my challenge to you. Be the person who takes action. Your future self will thank you for it. And in our next episode, we will talk about a place where you can invest all the extra money that you will have, a total stock market index fund. If this episode gave you a spark of insight, subscribe to the LawyerFi Podcast and share it with a colleague or friend who's ready to take control of their finances too. And if you've got a moment, leave a rating or review. It helps other high earners like you discover these strategies. Remember, financial independence isn't just a dream. Now, let's go achieve it. This episode of the LawyerFi Podcast is sponsored by Family Diplomacy, a collaborative law firm. Family Diplomacy is here for lawyers, doctors, and other professionals who are seeking a divorce in Florida and looking for a private, more amicable way to go through things. If you want to learn more, reach out to us at familydiplomacy.com or give us a call at 813-443-0615. You're not alone. We can help.
This has been the LawyerFi Podcast. Visit our website and learn more at LawyerFi.com, including information about how to become a sponsor. Watch or listen to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts from. You can also reach us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. LawyerFi is hosted by Adam B. Cordover and produced by Eric Sachs. Original music is by Jake Biller. Adam B. Cordover is a Florida-based collaborative family law attorney. He is not a financial advisor, accountant, or tax attorney. This podcast does not provide legal, financial, or tax advice, and is for information and entertainment purposes only.